Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English&Inspire.
I'm Ava.
And I'm Leo.
Congratulations on completing day 4. Today is day 5 of our 30 days English speaking challenge.
And today, we are talking about really the single most dangerous, unpredictable element of speaking English.
Oh, absolutely.
An element that basically ignores all the grammar rules you've been studying and has the power to completely ruin your perfectly practiced sentences.
Yeah, I know exactly where you're going with that.
We're talking, of course, about another human being.
Right, the ultimate wild card.
Exactly. Because for the past 4 days, you've been focused on the mechanics. Recording your daily routine, shadowing audio. It's safe, it's controlled.
It's a closed environment.
Right. But today, the training wheels come off. This deep dive is taking the structure of our 30-day challenge and applying it to the most nerve-wracking part of learning a language, which is human connection.
Yeah, socializing, dating, and everything in between. It's the ultimate test, isn't it? I mean, you can practice verb conjugations in an empty room until you're blue in the face, but the end goal is always communication.
Right, connecting with someone.
So today, we're walking through a survival guide for that exact scenario. We're going to trace the entire life cycle of a relationship.
Oh, wow, the whole thing?
The whole thing. From the initial awkward conversational icebreakers, through the tricky slang of catching feelings, into the psychology of confessing a crush, all the way to a massive exploration of English love idioms.
That is quite the journey.
It is. The goal is to get you from a nervous hello to happily ever after while sounding, completely natural.
So let's start at square one. Because before anyone can fall in love, or even make a decent friend, they have to survive the gauntlet of small talk.
Which is terrifying for everyone, native speakers included.
Oh, totally. And this directly mirrors week 1 of our 30-day challenge, which is building a foundation. But looking at the sources we've gathered, especially the research on the 100 questions used to break the ice, it's clear that small talk isn't just mindless filler.
No, not at all.
There is a very specific sociological architecture to it.
That's a great way to frame it. Small talk is essentially human echolocation.
Echolocation. Like bats.
Yeah, exactly like bats. You are sending out little signals to figure out where the other person is standing socially and psychologically. The research highlights the progression you have to make. You always start with data collection, right?
Right. Like, what's your name? Where do you live? What is your major?
Exactly. But if you linger in that phase too long, the conversation stalls. It feels like an interrogation.
Yeah, nobody wants to feel like they're in a job interview at a party.
Right. So to actually get to know someone, you have to transition into evaluative questions.
I noticed that shift in the materials. Moving away from the resume questions and getting into things like, are you a morning person or a night owl? Or are you generally an optimist or a pessimist?
Yeah, or like, what kind of things do you collect?
Exactly. You aren't asking for facts anymore. You're asking for their worldview.
And that shift is crucial for brain chemistry. When you ask someone if they are an optimist or a pessimist, you are inviting vulnerability.
Interesting.
Yeah, you're moving the brain from a state of assessing, like, stranger danger to recognizing a potential ally.
Ah, that makes so much sense.
And as we see in the phrasing guides from our source stack, this is where native speakers start utilizing very specific social language.
Right, like trying to establish common ground.
Exactly. You might ask if someone looks familiar, meaning their face is sparking a memory, but you just can't place it.
Or you might say a name rings a bell, referring to that auditory trigger of recognition.
Yes, and the ultimate victory in that early stage is discovering you have a mutual friend.
Oh, the relief is palpable.
Suddenly, you aren't two isolated islands anymore. You're connected by a bridge.
You realize you have a lot in common.
Yeah.
I always think of this phase of conversation like the physical warm-up stretches before you do a heavy workout at the gym.
Okay, I see where you're going with that, but how does it apply to language learning specifically?
Well, nobody actually enjoys warming up, right?
Sure.
You're just doing like arm circles and lunges, feeling a bit silly, wishing you could just start lifting the heavy weights. In conversation, the heavy weights are the deep philosophical talks, the inside jokes, the real intimacy.
Some good stuff.
Right, the good stuff. But if you skip those conversational warm-up stretches, the small talk,
Yeah.
you are going to pull a muscle.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, if you walk up to a stranger and immediately ask them about their deepest childhood trauma, you're going to make things incredibly weird, incredibly fast.
Yeah, you're violating the social contract there. And the English language actually has a brilliant idiom for what happens when that warm-up goes wrong.
Oh, I know this one.
Or when you accidentally insult someone during this delicate phase, it's putting your foot in it, or sometimes putting your foot in your mouth.
I have absolutely done this.
Oh no, do tell.
Yeah, I once attended a dinner party, and during the initial small talk phase, I complained at length about how terrible a particular local band was. Just really roasted their music.
Oh my gosh. Who are you talking to?
Well, the person I was talking to just nodded politely. 10 minutes later, I found out it was her brother's band.
No, that is awful.
Yep, I completely put my foot in it.
That is the perfect excruciating example. The etymology there is so physical, right? The idea of stepping into a mess so badly that you end up with your foot in your own mouth.
Felt exactly like that.
But if we tie this back to the 30-day challenge, your dinner party disaster highlights the golden rule, which is progress over perfection.
Right.
When you speak a new language, you will put your foot in it. It's inevitable. You will use the wrong tone or misread a social cue.
Native speakers do it daily. Look at me.
Exactly. The trick isn't to avoid the mistake. It's to have the resilience to apologize, laugh at yourself, and keep the conversation moving.
Okay, well, let's look at the optimistic scenario. You didn't insult anyone's brother.
Right. Disaster averted.
The warm-up stretches worked. You didn't pull a conversational muscle, and you actually hit it off right away.
You've got chemistry.
The chemistry is there. And this is where our sources pivot into some of the most fascinating vocabulary in the English language, which is the slang of catching feelings.
Yes, the transition from platonic friends to something much more chaotic.
Chaotic is definitely the right word. We have to draw some very clear boundaries here based on the linguistic nuance. For instance, the materials make a stark distinction between someone hitting on you and someone asking you out.
Oh, for a learner, confusing those two can lead to some very awkward situations.
Let's unpack that because they do carry very different cultural weights. Asking you out is literal, direct, and usually implies an invitation to a traditional date.
Right, it's an event.
Exactly, like, hey, I'd like to take you out for dinner on Friday. But hitting on someone is entirely different. It's an action, usually involving unsolicited flirting, suggestive comments, or trying to pick someone up at a bar.
You can be hit on by a stranger you never want to see again.
Exactly.
So asking out requires courage and planning, whereas hitting on is often more casual or opportunistic.
Right.
And it's here that the slang gets incredibly descriptive. A very common phrase right now is catching feelings.
I hear that everywhere.
Yeah, which means to slowly realize you are developing a romantic interest in someone.
And this is where the linguistics just blow my mind. If you look at the verbs English uses for romance, they sound like descriptions of extreme sports or medical emergencies.
Wait, how do you mean?
Well, you catch feelings the exact same way you catch a contagious disease.
Oh, I see.
It implies that you didn't want it to happen, it was airborne, and now you're infected.
That is so true. And it gets more violent from there. You have a crush on someone. A word that literally means to violently deform something with heavy pressure.
Yes, and the ultimate one, you fall in love.
Right.
You don't step into love. You don't gently wade into love. You were just working down the street, minding your own business, and suddenly you trip and plummet. You're falling for them.
Every single one of these phrases completely strips away the speaker's agency.
Exactly.
That is a phenomenal observation, and it points to a deep truth about how humans process romance. We use these involuntary physical metaphors because that is exactly how the psychological shift feels.
It's overwhelming.
Love doesn't feel like a conscious decision you map out on a spreadsheet. It feels like an affliction. It feels like gravity taking over. You are surrendering control.
Yeah.
Now, once you are in free fall, the vocabulary describing the relationship status can be a bit of a minefield for non-native speakers.
Well, I'll admit, the distinction between some of these casual dating terms used to confuse me.
Yeah.
Our sources highlight phrases like hooking up with someone versus going out with someone.
Right.
To a learner, those might sound like the exact same thing, just two people spending time together.
They do sound similar, but the commitment levels are on opposite ends of the spectrum.
How so?
Well, hooking up is highly informal slang. In modern English, it almost exclusively implies a brief physical encounter. It's temporary, it's casual, and it carries zero implication of a future commitment. You might hook up with someone at a New Year's party and never speak to them again.
Right, whereas going out with someone carries the weight of time.
Exactly.
If you say, I'm going out with them, it doesn't just mean you are physically exiting your house together. It is the steady state of being romantically linked. You are dating them exclusively.
Yeah. And we also have to touch on the darker vocabulary from our sources because human connection isn't always positive, right?
Sadly, no.
When people are navigating these different levels of commitment, deception often sneaks in. If you know you don't have feelings for someone, but you purposefully act like you do to keep their attention, you are leading them on. Oh, that's the worst. Or the even harsher phrase, jerking someone around.
Yeah, that one is intense.
It gives this awful, visceral image of pulling someone by a leash. You're manipulating their emotions for your own ego or advantage. It's the ultimate betrayal of that initial trust you built during the small talk phase.
Which brings us to the ethical turning point. You've caught the feelings.
You're infected.
You are fully infected. You do not want to lead them on, and you don't want to just hook up. You want a real relationship.
Right.
It is time to confess. But how do you translate the massive, chaotic feeling of falling in love into English words without sounding like a badly dubbed soap opera?
This is where we look at the psychological advice from relationship therapists in our source stack. And the consensus is surprisingly counterintuitive.
Really?
Yeah, we are conditioned by movies to think a confession needs to be this dramatic monologue delivered in the pouring rain.
With a boombox outside their window.
Exactly. But the therapist's agree list is vastly more. From a psychological standpoint, that makes perfect sense. Grand declarations usually backfire.
Because it's too much pressure.
Yeah. If you unload a 10-minute speech about how someone is your soulmate, you aren't actually connecting with them, you are overwhelming them. You're placing a massive cognitive load on their shoulders and demanding an immediate, equally massive response.
Oh, no, that makes so much sense.
That's why the phrases therapists recommend are beautifully understated. Take this one from the Parade article. I really like spending time with you.
It's so grounded, it doesn't project into the future, and it doesn't demand anything. It simply validates the reality of the present moment.
Exactly.
Another phrase they suggest is, you bring out a different side of me. I find this one fascinating because it flips the focus.
How so?
Oh, it makes the listener feel like they possess a unique kind of magic that unlocks a secret version of you.
Oh, I love that. But the phrase that therapists point to as the ultimate compliment, like the absolute pinnacle of romantic confessions, is simply this: I can be myself around you.
I want to dig into that. Why does a sentence with such basic vocabulary carry so much emotional weight?
It comes down to the concept of social masks and cognitive load.
Okay, tell me more.
From the moment we wake up, we are performing. We perform competence for our bosses, we perform politeness for strangers, we even perform a certain curated version of ourselves for our friends.
Totally.
Holding those masks up takes an immense amount of subconscious energy. So when you look at someone and say, I can be myself around you, you are telling them that being in their presence is restful.
Wow.
You are saying, with you, I can finally put the mask down. It is the deepest expression of psychological safety.
That is really beautiful. So we have the perfect simple words,
Yeah.
but the physical act of looking someone in the eye and saying them is terrifying.
Oh, absolutely paralyzing.
Right. To help with this, the therapist outlined a 4-step process for success, which honestly reads like an exposure therapy manual.
I bet. What's step one?
Step 1 is visualization. So picturing the conversation going well to prime your nervous system. Step 2 is writing it down, getting the abstract feelings onto concrete paper. Step 3 is practicing with a trusted friend.
And the final step.
Step 4 is to scrap the script entirely and speak from the heart.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. When I read that, I immediately thought of week 4 of our 30-day challenge, the mastery stage.
Oh, the 5-minute talk.
Exactly. In week 4, we ask you to prepare a 5-minute talk. You write it out, you practice it, you obsess over the vocabulary. But when it's time to actually speak, if you just read from the script, it sounds robotic.
Yeah, it completely loses its soul.
Right. The preparation just gives you the muscle memory. Once you are in the moment, you have to let the script go and trust that the language is inside you. Improvisation is the only way to be authentic.
It's the paradox of preparation, right? You script it out precisely so that you have the freedom to abandon the script.
Exactly.
Your brain knows the vocabulary well enough that your genuine emotions have a vehicle to travel through.
Okay, so let's fast forward the narrative. You drop the script, you spoke from the heart, and miracle of miracles, they feel the same way.
Yeah.
The relationship officially begins. To map out what happens next, our sources provide a masterclass in English idioms, tracing the entire life cycle of a romance.
Idioms are fascinating because they are essentially the inside jokes of a culture.
That's a great way to put it.
If you try to translate them literally, they sound absurd, but emotionally, they make perfect sense. Let's trace the arc. At the very beginning of a romance, the sources describe that innocent, almost naive affection as puppy love.
Because it's clumsy, it's cute, and it's completely overwhelming.
Exactly. You are head over heels, which again echoes that loss of physical balance we talked about earlier.
Oh, right.
You are on cloud nine, so euphoric you've literally left the earth.
And a very important phrase for this early stage is, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. This is the psychological phenomenon where your friends might be confused by your choice of partner. But to you, this person is flawless. The affection physically alters how you perceive them.
It really does. Then the relationship matures into the middle stage. You are officially an item. You are going steady.
The idiom I love here is being joined at the hip.
Oh, that's a good one.
It means you are so inseparable, it's as if you share a single body. And if this goes the distance, someone will eventually pop the question, ask the other to marry them, and they will tie the knot.
Let me pause you there, though. I can hear some of our learners asking, why should I bother memorizing a phrase like tie the knot or join at the hip?
Okay, valid question.
Right. Why can't I just say, we are getting married or we spend a lot of time together? Doesn't that communicate the exact same information?
I see what you mean, but I'd argue it doesn't communicate the same kind of information.
Okay, explain that.
Direct words communicate facts. Idioms communicate belonging. Think of idioms as a cultural password.
A cultural password. I like that.
Yeah, when you use direct vocabulary, you are conveying data. But when you use an idiom, you are showing that you understand the history, the humor, and the shared imagination of the English-speaking world. You aren't just speaking the language, you're participating in the culture.
You're in on the joke.
Exactly. It takes you from being a functional speaker to a fluent communicator.
That is a crucial distinction. It's the seasoning in the dish. It masks the raw mechanical grammar and makes the conversation actually taste like natural speech.
Beautifully said.
And unfortunately, that descriptive power applies to the negative side of relationships, too. The English language has an incredibly vivid palette for when things go wrong.
It really does. And I noticed a recurring theme here in the source's nautical metaphors.
Oh, interesting. Like ships.
Yeah, like when a relationship is struggling, we say it is on the rocks. It invokes the image of a ship that has lost its navigation and is scraping against the jagged stones, taking on water.
And if the damage is gradual, couples might not have a massive fiery explosion. They might just drift apart. Again, it's the ocean metaphor. Two boats, untethered, slowly moved in different directions by the current until they can't even see each other anymore, eventually choosing to split up.
That's so sad, but so poetic. And then there are the terms for sudden betrayal. If you discover a partner is cheating, the slang term is a love rat.
It's so jarring.
It is. A rat implies something parasitic, sneaking around in the dark, feeding off the foundation of your house.
Yeah, it's a strong visual. Or in the most dramatic, cinematic scenario imaginable, someone gets left at the altar.
Oh, man.
Right. Abandoned on the literal day of the wedding in front of everyone.
The sheer range of this vocabulary is staggering. It covers the absolute heights of human euphoria and the darkest depths of heartbreak.
It really does. And honestly, analyzing all of this brings us right back to the core mission of day 5 of the challenge.
Exactly. What does all of this mean for you, the learner listening right now? It means recognizing that the language you are studying is infinitely vast, but you don't have to conquer it all at once. By the time you reach day 30 of this challenge, you will have logged over 15 hours of active speaking practice.
Which is incredible.
That is more focused verbal repetition than many people get in an entire year of casual studying.
And the unifying thread through all of this, whether you are learning the etiquette of small talk, deciphering the slang of hooking up, or memorizing idioms about shipwrecks, is consistency.
Yes, consistency is everything.
You don't aim for a perfect conversation. You just aim to show up and speak.
You put in the reps. Whether you are trying to survive a water cooler chat with a new colleague, or you are whispering sweet nothings into the ear of someone you are absolutely head over heels for, you are building the mental infrastructure to communicate confidently.
Because when we strip away the grammar exercises and the vocabulary flashcards, language is not just a subject to be mastered.
No, it's not.
It is the only bridge we have between two isolated human minds.
And walking across that bridge always requires a leap of faith. Every time you open your mouth to speak in a new language, you are taking a risk.
A huge
You
risk.
might pull a conversational muscle, you might put your foot in it, but you also might make a friend, ace an interview, or completely change the trajectory of your life.
Absolutely.
So as you dive into the speaking tasks for day 5 of your challenge, ask yourself, which of these new phrases will you be brave enough to use today?